of the agenda. We have a phone number if you wish to dial in and use the webinar ID. I'll call us to order. Around the table of members is Mary Wright, Jenny Farber, Judith Bruce, myself, Kevin Galligan, John Smith, and Lynn Bruneau. Bob Mullen, just so you know, did text me or email a few days ago. He is on travel, so he's not with us. And Karen Shopless will be recording everything diligently, and thank you for being with us, Karen. So is there anyone here for public comment? Anyone online, Peggy, for public comment?
Do we want to just do our usual
hands
reminder
raised.
about the drought?
Who might want to do the drought reminder?
I could do the drought
Please.
reminder.
We have two water people here.
So, last Wednesday, the Board of Water, I think that's the 18th, the Board of Water and Sewer voted to declare a level 2 drought based on information and a requirement from DEP. It will go into effect on May 1st through December 31st. The messaging for it has started already with a letter, a public comment at that select board meeting, and then there was an article in this week's Chronicle. Basically, you will not be allowed to use your sprinkler system, whether you have a town water supply or a private well. There was a question about pools. Pools cannot be filled or topped off using metered water. You can use drip irrigation, hose, or watering cans for your ornamentals. What else? You cannot wash any hard surface.
Vegetable gardens are okay?
Vegetable gardens are okay. It's better if you use a hose, or drip irrigation. It's much preferred. There is a provision for starting new landscaping, lawns, and other things, but it's restricted to the months of May and September. I think that's just about everything.
Great.
So,
The 9 to 5.
Oh, and then, yes, thank you. And all irrigation is limited to from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m.
or
And
not
for
9 to 4.
anyone that didn't follow all this, is it easily found on a certain website?
It is easily found completely in the Chronicle. It will be on a website. It will be in your bill that comes out sometime in early April. It will be on information sheets that are handed out at town meeting, in the sticker office. I believe there's going to be some at the Chamber of Commerce, Snow Library. Who have I forgotten?
Also, look at the building department, have it at anytime somebody's coming in to get something, that would be part of the hand back that
Great.
should be dealing with it. And we will be working with Amanda as far as, what kind of special piece on Facebook or whatever. So we will
Yeah.
be doing that as well.
Okay.
We're hitting everything.
If there's an electronic PDF, would you send
That'd
that
be
to me?
helpful.
Because I can think of getting it out to a lot of neighborhood associations, pond groups, et cetera,
Yeah.
who have folks that are not here year-round but come in for the summer, because
Right.
that would be a really key group to target.
That'd be a great idea if there's a
I think
PDF.
we're also talking about Block Party.
Yep.
Block Party and First Fridays.
But anything that people can pass the word in terms of a shareable PDF would be great. Okay. Anything else on public comment? Mr. Carlson?
I just wanted to request that I be allowed to comment regarding the mill pond work when you're discussing that,
Okay.
rather than now.
So, next on the agenda is Phase 2, sewer construction status. Looks like we've got AECom and John Nelson teed up. Who wants to go first? John's coming up, Tim.
I can, okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, John.
Mine's a little brief, so. The letters will be heading out, the order to connect the letters will be heading out on Tuesday. I have some help tomorrow and Monday to fold, label, get everything ready to go. So we're all set for the order letter.
And would you confirm the
Time to
frame?
connect.
1 year, 12 months.
12 months to connect.
Thank you.
So it'll be March 31st to March 31st of 2027. And the order letter should be very similar to the first one, you know. You have this time frame, reach out to those people, and go to the town website for some more information if needed.
Great,
And it has my contact on there.
great.
So,
Does that include also posting of the letter on the website somewhere?
it doesn't, but I can touch base
But I'm
with.
just wondering for other information and clarity, whether Board of Health or could it, should it?
Just a template, yeah.
Probably, yeah. I'd say that's probably a good idea. So 1 year from the date you receive it,
Receive the letter.
or from
Okay.
the date you receive. We can make the.
12 months.
And
Yeah,
we-
so it's 12 months from the date of the letter, so it'll be the 31st, it'll go out the 31st, so.
Those two different dates. John is saying from receipt, you're saying from date of letter.
I believe it's date of letter is how
Date
it's
of
phrased.
letter?
Yeah.
I'll
One at a
bring it up.
time.
I'll bring it up at the meeting, and
Okay.
we have to
The
adjust.
the other part too, perhaps importance to have it on the website as the reminder, because I think I remember from the meetings, it also has at least a brief discussion about the concept of an appeal process or a delay process and so on. So again, useful to have it online,
Right.
As a
in case somebody
package.
throws it away, tears it up, chews it, the dog ate it, that kind of thing.
But the other thing is, these are registered letters.
They're going out certified.
Certified letters.
Certified.
So if you say date of receipt, it's the date of receipt of the letter in the post office, because we don't know when they'll come by the post office to pick it up.
Well-
Whereas we can ascertain that it got to the post office and was delivered to their address on a certain
Okay,
date certain.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking, was just, we have to pick, because I think the other thing is, you need to have the date that you know,
Right.
because it's, from your purposes, what the 360.
Which will end up being the 31st when we deliver them to the post office on the
Gotcha.
31st. So, yes.
John, what happens if someone never picks up their letter?
Board of Health will have them
It's
at
the same
show cause
thing,
hearing.
yeah. It goes through the appeal process, they end up on our list.
Okay.
We continue to ask them periodically, why haven't you picked up your mail?
great.
Okay.
Right.
We'll check on getting the template up on the website to
Great.
refer to.
Thanks, John.
That's about it for me.
Tim, anything to add?
First of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I guess I would just add this flow chart that we've been looking at for the past
Nice.
couple meetings.
Nice.
Turned a lot more green over the last couple weeks. So I think everybody's excited about that. But yeah, John kind of got us to the end of it. So we're, at this point, we are looking forward to getting into property connections. And then we're also putting together the punch list and project closeout materials for the phase 2 construction.
Tim, one quick one, and you would know this in detail, Rich would as well. Wearing my town hat, which we all here are, can we see that the town hall gets the first connection? I mean, sounds like it's really easy to me. I mean, it's right there.
we have definitely been talking about talking with CC about how to go about doing that. We can certainly pass along that we would love for town hall to be first.
Absolutely.
And what about the short list of open items, the punch list?
So we have a draft list put together. We're going to be out walking around the project area, looking for areas that need restoration. We have been just kind of maintaining a list along the way. And we'll solicit some feedback from Veolia as well as they start to operate the system, make sure that any warranty items are addressed as part of that as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Feels good, you guys. It really does. And congratulations to everybody involved in getting here. Really, it was a challenging endeavor. I have to say, and Mike Solitro's not here, but Elizabeth, the communication he did with the business owners and everyone was really important. And we're seeing it in other towns. I know town of Yarmouth and Dennis are really experiencing some business pushback, I'll say. And I've said, learn anything or we'll share anything with you in terms of how we did it. I said we had monthly meetings, they were on a regular basis, and I think it really helped the project adjust as we could, but also help businesses. So we're a caring community. So, all right, Phase 4 sewer planning. Tim, I assume this is you.
Yes. Why don't I just carry on here? So I wanted to just highlight for everybody the schedule. I think that we talk and think a lot about this end of this schedule over here, looking at substantial completion late 2031. But I guess given the upcoming town meeting, I just wanted to have an opportunity to talk a little bit about the front half of the schedule and how that all fits together. So as everybody knows, the project schedule itself is driven both by kind of the watershed permit and the town's obligations for water quality achievement in kind of a macro sense. But as we look at individual phases, those are driven absolutely by the SRF, the State Revolving Fund schedule. So that's the yellow items on the chart here. And I'll start right in the middle. This is when we know what the project is going to cost. That's when we receive and open bids. That's about 3 years from now.
Right.
But the opportunity for the town to get a chunk of the SRF funds through the intended use plan is back here in July of 2027. That's when the PEF, which identifies the town's estimated cost, actually goes into the state, and that's the number that's carried forward through until bids are opened. And so that PEF is really the opportunity for the town to stake their claim in the pot of money that's available. And so the way the town comes up with the right request for that is through this preliminary design stage. So there's a lot of work that happens between notice to proceed on that work and when that PEF is done. And really it's all of that work kind of, we have, I'll show you the list. Basically we have all of the data collection, so the survey, geotech, archaeological, pavement, all of that work, plus all of the kind of analysis of the water that we talk a lot about here, really feeds into understanding what happens to the downstream facilities with that additional flow, as well as helps us to actually put together a strong preliminary design with pipe layout, utility conflict understanding, depths, all these things that impact the cost of the project, and that funnels directly into the project cost estimate. It's really kind of the concluding statement of the PEF. And so when we talk about having that PEF ready to go in July of 27, that really starts here in the 2026 Maytown meeting. So and that May timing is very important because that allows us to actually collect that data through the fall before we get into the winter season, so that we have that winter season and spring to generate all that information. If we miss that fall season, basically all that data collection can't happen until late winter or early spring. And then there's just not an opportunity to get the good information into that estimate. If that estimate is high or low, has different ramifications for whether there's enough money for the town to implement the project and award that contract in 2029, completely financed by SRF, or how DEP and the Clean Water Trust actually sets up the loan over time. So just wanted to take a couple minutes to kind of lay out the importance of this timeline to get us to bid opening in 2029.
And Tim, I can jump in quickly only because, I mean, two engineers, even though you probably didn't listen to the select board last night, Rich Waldo provided almost similar description of the critical nature of keeping this on track funding-wise. Rich, you did an awesome job last night at the select board meeting, as well as getting materials out in advance so people could actually digest it. And I'm looking at John Cooper, who's liaison from the Finance Committee. John, you're, I understand, going to actually go through this all at your evening meeting tonight. So please, if any of this is helpful, chat with Rich, or if we can get this PowerPoint to you and share it. I think, we convinced the select board, Rich did, and voted unanimously to place and recommend this.
These two slides, I think, would be tremendously helpful. Yeah, if you could, Tim, if you could get those, we'll get them printed and make sure that they're available this evening.
Yep, absolutely.
That's really helpful. But again, one thing that I heard, and others may have been watching, I think, Mary, you tolerated the 4.5 hours as well, but
Picked it up at home.
the point I kind of re-emphasized was, as Tim pointed out in the list of activities, this is bringing new flow into existing pipes, into an existing plant. We want to fully utilize that plant. A deferral of this means we have an underutilized plant, meaning less revenue. So there really is, what do you call it? A symbiotic or multi-faceted relationship here. It's not binary. You don't just flip the switch, turn it on and off. These things are all planned in a thoughtful way. So great discussion last night. I think there was no pushback whatsoever. I think one board member did say, in the future, could we explore some relief on these 3-year cycles? And, I think, Rich, you said, it's an adaptive plan. I mean, those are the words that we are, bound by in the plan. But for focusing on Pleasant Bay, yeah, we have no choice, folks. We really don't.
And I think it's important to realize that we've already gotten 2 delay extensions on Pleasant Bay. And people don't think about this, but the original plan, going back to 2008, was 6 phases to be done 3 years each. We would be finishing the whole thing right now. In 2028, the last home would be connected and we'd be done. But that didn't happen. And so when we resubmitted a plan, we got the first extension, which was almost to 40 years, 50 years, to extend this out 16 phases. And then when we implemented the watershed permit, the start date was going to be 2018, and Mike, jump in if I'm wrong on this. I believe it was to start 2018. We managed to get DEP to say, okay, the start date can be 2022. So we, quote, bought ourselves another 4 years. So DEP at this point is at the point of saying, we've delayed. We really appreciate all the good work that Orleans has done. But that was clear from that meeting we had with them. There will be no further delays for Pleasant Bay. No.
Mike Gigi, you're on. Anything you want to add on this? The importance of staying on plan, I'll say?
No, I'll just confirm that the dates that Judith just put out are correct. And I've got a chart for later in the meeting that will help pull all that together.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
So I think at least from our recommendation, in the warrant publication, we're good. But that doesn't mean that efforts on outreach, communication, I'm looking at Mary in terms of her expertise on this. We have got to kind of keep this very succinct messaging, stick to the plan.
Tim, I appreciated your modulated conversation, but I think, Rich, last night, your voice was a little more urgent, which I think was a good thing. And Tim, I know that's your job to sound very, whatever, but I think the urgency of this cannot be
Stated.
cannot be understated, because I think there are too many things that would get upset if we delayed this. I mean, the domino effect would be pretty impressive. So I think that urgency part is really important.
So I was sitting on a bus for 4 hours coming back from skiing, and I didn't think it was possible, but I might have been having more fun than what you guys were having in your 4-hour meeting.
Well, I mean, it could have been viewed as painful, but it got great information out there in a total way. You know, everything from the cost, from the timing, from regulatory to the revenue. I mean, it did a full, review, which was great. So, all right. Anything else we need to know, Tim, in terms of Phase 4 planning at this point?
No, I
Okay.
was just gonna say, yep, the select board took a vote last night and was in favor of it, so that's all I had.
Yep. No, and I can't emphasize enough, it would be wonderful to see the Finance Committee as well supportive. I mean, that warrant, when it's published, it's meaningful in terms of voters seeing numbers that show positive support. But if there are some concerns, we're happy to address them, whether it be now or on the floor of town meeting, so.
Just one more point, too, that has been a little bit lost in the conversations. If you go back and look at the CIP for the past 3 to 5 years, the Phase 4 planning has been in the CIP for the past 3 to 5 years. Stage 4 fiscal '27, it's been wrapped up in a couple other things, and the number was 5.5 million. And as early as January of this year, it was in the capital budget as high as 5.5 million. And then it was tuned down to 2.9 million, and then subsequently to 2.7 million. So it's been there, and it's been in the capital budget. And it was not as a standalone article originally, but it has to be a standalone article in the paperwork because it's debt exclusion. And that's why it's a standalone article. And though it wasn't there in the original, one of the original lists, it's there because it's debt exclusion. And again, it's been in the CIP forever and a day and a half. So again, looking into the archives, if you will.
Awesome. Good. Feeling good, you folks. Mill Pond evaluation. I don't see George with us. Is Tim or Mike going to cover this in terms of outstanding scope?
I guess
Standing
I'll
scope
say
would be-
that
I meant the meeting.
there is still some work to be done to wrap it up. And I think Mike and I are looking forward to having a discussion about how to move forward with DEP. So we'll talk with George about that and then be able to circle back with any further updates.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I do think it's important, and again, George is not here, but we do need to package this whole report with the individual alternative evaluations that have been done. Again, it goes all the way, I look at FinCom, we have one member that is just continuing to push that we should be advancing a pilot urine diversion effort. I think it's important to put out the work we did to evaluate that. And we were careful to say, we know the parameters, we know the benefits, but we actually didn't find, if I remember the red, green, yellow dots, Tim, that you developed, it is not meeting the scope of, sooner than long-term benefits. There's a long period of time, particularly retrofitting existing homes with urine diversion. I mean, it's not going to meet what the scope of this was. So, but we got to kind of package this up and get it out.
Could I?
Please.
After the meeting, I had an opportunity to kind of look over the different timelines for the different efforts we were going to do on this behalf. And I was thinking, when would it pay off, and how much of a payoff would it be? So I was looking like, okay, fertilizer control, you could start it immediately. Once the order goes out, it would take a certain amount of time for it to actually get any nitrogen not getting there, to not get to the pond. So say 5 years for properties to basically see a benefit, and then that still leaves 15 years before the sewers are going in. So you have 15 years of benefit for that 40 kilograms per year. So that's 15 times 40. Okay? So then there's aquaculture, which is 2 years before we can start because of all the permitting, everything. A 3-year growth cycle for the first set of things. So that's 5 years. That's 5 years before a payout. And then, but you've still got another 15 years of 100 kilograms per year. That's 1,500 kilograms that isn't going into the pond at that particular point. And then for PRBs, you have 5 years to get it started, 3 years before there's any impact of it getting there. That's 8-year payout. You've got 12 years of benefit of nitrogen removal to that pond before sewering takes place in 20 years from now. So that's what, and I don't know the actual numbers, but you could total those up and show the nitrogen not going into that pond during that period of time.
And the other thing that I would point out is, yes, with the fertilizers, those that leach into the ground, now you're looking at groundwater travel time. But we forget that there's a lot of the fertilizer that goes down that just gets washed right off into from the surface.
Right.
Whether the surface is lawn or the surface is hard surface, it just goes right into the pond immediately. So that's an immediate impact.
So anyway, that's what so I was.
Great. All right. Mike, anything to add? I think, just hearing John go through things, you've taught us very well.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to add.
Right. All right. So next under Mill Pond 4B, George just included for our reference and part of the record, Charlie Carlson's conversation as he documented with Mr. Reardon at DEP. Charlie, anything to add? Okay, yep. So I don't think we have any comments on that. This is just more for folks' information. Baker's Pond, coordination with Brewster. Oh, please. Charlie's back.
Sorry. Unrelated to what you were just discussing, I sent in an email to you, Kevin, and George this morning, which I'll distribute to members of the committee. And there are questions in that email regarding the mill pond interim measures. The first question is as follows. Regarding the PRB project on Deer Run, is it possible for the town to request initial funding at the fall town meeting so that the pond and groundwater monitoring can begin in 2026 and then make a second funding request when there is more information in hand? That would reduce the implementation time for the PRB by an entire year, because currently the groundwater monitoring and pond monitoring is not intended to begin until the summer of 2027. So that's more of a question for the consultants, I think. The second question that relates to this on the PRB project is that at the last meeting of the WMAC, the statement was made that the cost of studies and implementation of the PRB project might be so high that the project would not move forward. My question is whether the consultants have a timetable for estimating those costs, and whether those costs would be provided before the groundwater monitoring and pond monitoring actually gets underway, so that we all have some sense of where we're going with those two things. So those are my two comments regarding the mill pond, or questions regarding the mill pond study. I also, in that same email, provided some comments regarding the committee's recommendation for work on a TMDL process for Nauset Estuary. And I'd like to ask that the topic be addressed at one of the next WIMAC meetings. It's not on today's agenda, so that doesn't make sense for today, but I would like to have the committee start talking about it.
Great, thanks, Charlie. So given that email just came in, Tim, Mike, I'll forward to you and copy all of you guys so we can include it next time. All right. Yes, please.
I do have copies if you'd like me to circulate them.
Sure, sure. All right, Baker's Pond, anyone
Sure.
prepared to
I need to walk
talk
the
about this? Again, I think this is mostly in George's court. I know the warrant article is approved to be placed and recommended. Wasn't last night, but at a previous select board meeting, George did hand us a nice map that showed the limited influence or ownership by Brewster, and any concerns about other parties' involvement that may manage or be involved in there, like the state, would be noticed through a notice of intent process. So that's what I heard. So select board did vote to place and recommend this. So I think we're good in terms of this.
So in other words, the coordination with Brewster, the feeling is that there doesn't need to be any specific coordination, that it's part of the process.
It is part of the process, yeah, yeah. But George did report that Brewster is, number one, not chipping in because they have a very small ownership, but they're not opposed to us going forward. That's, I think, how
Okay.
George reported it. So that's what I know. And then, we've got to wait for town meeting, but then very quickly, because we've done this drill a few times, the permitting process just goes like clockwork in terms of notice of intent, notice to abutters, and we know the technology. One question was asked of George if we see similar to Uncle Harvey's, and are there any other protective measures like curtains, and he didn't believe there were because it's a really limited basin of treatment. So
Well, and the ownership of Baker is state-owned. It's not a butter-owned. So the
Right.
issue at Uncle Harvey's was the pond was a butter-owned,
Right.
and therefore,
The slices,
you needed
yeah.
permission from all owners,
Right.
and we did not have that.
Right.
That's not an issue
Yeah, here.
with Baker. Yeah, so there should be absolutely no need for any kind of
Yeah.
screening, none of that should be necessary.
So again, with thanks, Carolyn Audi from the Marine Freshwater Quality Committee, glad you're here. This is a team effort.
So Carolyn Oddie, Chair of Marine and Freshwater Quality, just wanted to reiterate, we have absolutely engaged with the community around Baker's Pond, so they're well aware, and have, given their endorsement of this project. And so, just as you said, it's a great pond, and so we're good from that perspective.
Were you able to engage the Brewster people
We did
who
engage.
live on the pond?
Yeah, they're part of the Baker's Pond Friends organization.
Oh, they are? Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Nice. Good. I think we're good. All right, Mike Giggy, you've got a few slides on the nitrogen removal progress. I know you've been doing some work with some real numbers.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mike.
I would like to show you a graph that Tim and I have been working on, and bear with me, I'm having a hard time finding my share button. There we go.
Nice.
So let's go, pardon me. I'm, pardon me again. This was all teed up, but,
Last night was
Last night
a
was,
disaster.
Okay,
We couldn't get PowerPoints up last night. It was like,
okay, can folks see my screen?
not yet, Mike.
Okay, I'll go back and retry.
Mike, do you want me to share the graph you sent to me?
So
Well,
whatever
I've got it teed up. Let me just try one more time.
Oh, here, something's happening.
Something's happening.
There we go.
Yeah.
Drum roll.
Okay, Mike.
Okay,
Symbol
there you
crash.
go. Sorry for that delay.
Can you make it
So-
just a little bit bigger?
I can do that.
My tired eyes. There we go. Thanks.
Okay, so you've heard my pitch in numerous past meetings about keeping track of where we are town-wide. And I prepared this graphic to do just that. And I think we've all learned that there's sort of like two levels we need to worry about. We certainly have to worry about the details, don't we? Devil is in the details, as we've learned time and time again. But let's step back and look at the big picture town-wide. And so what I've done here is I've used this bar chart format to show the height of the bar represents the amount of nitrogen removal. And I've shown three bars, left to right, the Nauset Harbor system, the Rock Harbor system, and then Pleasant Bay on the right. And the height of the bar overall represents our best current estimate of what the target is. And let's start on the right, 7,300 kilograms per year removal in Pleasant Bay in Orleans affected watersheds is part of the recently updated Pleasant Bay watershed permit. You may recall that number was previously about 7,000. It got bumped up to account for growth. So that's the definitive number, as you all know. It's in writing. You signed on for that with a fixed schedule. The other two bars are a little bit more of estimates. Looking at the 2012 MEP report for Nauset and the similar one for Rock Harbor, the best number I can pull out for the goals for those two separate major watersheds are 5,000 in Nauset and 1,500 in Rock Harbor. So just looking at the entirety of these bars, you add the three together and you get about 14,000 kilograms per year is the current estimate of the overall goal. And then I've shaded in the bars to try to depict where we are today. And notice that I've used shading that's specific to the phasing of the project.
Nice.
The medium blue color is phase one, including the treatment plant, a significant bite into Nauset Harbor and a very big bite into Rock Harbor. Nothing in phase one helped the Pleasant Bay situation. The light blue is phase two, the one that you talked about. Notices to connect. It should put a smile on everyone's face.
Exactly.
So two is also a substantial amount of nitrogen removal, all in Pleasant Bay. And then I've used other colors to show later phases that are underway. And I've used a cross-hatching in the green and the purple portions of the Pleasant Bay bar to show that that's what we expect, but the projects are underway. And then the dark green band in each of the three bars, I've used to denote what I've called the non-traditional nitrogen control measures, largely fertilizer controls, 25% of the total fertilizer load, as well as Lonnie's Pond aquaculture. So there's a lot here. Let's look at it. I think in terms of where we are today, we're about 40% complete based on these firm and estimated goals. When we get phase three complete, we'll be up to about 50% overall. And with phase four, about 60% overall.
Nice.
That should put a smile on your face. I mean,
Yes.
this is steady, determined progress towards substantial goals. So I view that as this is a confirmation, really, putting in graphic form the progress that we've been worrying about. You know, how much time have we spent on each one of these colored segments? A lot. But you
Mike,
step back and put them all together, and you see some trends.
Mike, can I just,
Sure.
while you're on that, and on the Pleasant Bay stack, you've got the, what I'll call the pretty lime green. That is phase 2. If I recall what you said in the past, the day those letters go out from Board of Health, is that when we take credit through DEP for the removal reduction?
Yes, and thanks for bringing that up, Kevin. I show phase 2 sewers as done, not crosshatched. And that's why, because you've reached that milestone. But
Oh, I'm
that-
sorry, that's right, yeah. Phase 2, the blue one, Judith just corrected me, right.
Yeah, yeah. So there's obviously judgment calls here, and in terms of documenting progress with DEP, it's my recommendation that a narrative be prepared to accompany this bar chart, and that it be circulated, obviously for public consumption, but also for DEP consumption. And I think in the letter that you would write to DEP to transmit this bar chart, you would make the case, document what the past agreements have been, and that is that since we have completed phase 2 to that certain milestone, we're formally taking credit for it. Do you want to add to that, Tim?
Go ahead, Tim.
Sorry, just trying to come off mute. I was just going to point out that the graph that Mike is showing right now really speaks to a point that Rich made last night, and to Mary's point earlier today about the urgency and the need for phase 4. It is, Rich phrased it well last night as saying we may not need all 16 phases, but we definitely need phase 4.
Right.
And this phase 4 pink hatched area, you'll notice, is actually more significant than the benefit from phase 3, and nearly as significant as the entirety of the Meeting House Pond project.
Right.
So it is definitely something that it's a must-have for the Pleasant Bay.
So that also, to me, I almost envision an upside-down map of the whole watershed and the whole system of Pleasant Bay.
Yeah.
Starting with 2, you're starting up at the top with Meeting House Pond, and then working your way down the upper river, lower river, Lonnie's Aries with 3, and then down to Little Pleasant Bay, and then getting a little bit into Big Bay of the system. And the other piece that I find, just I guess where I'm living, because what I see, all of that East Harwich area is underway for being sewered. I mean, it's just amazing, the scope and the amount of sewering in East Harwich. And what that is going to have an immediate and a direct effect on is the Big Bay system. So yes, the entire plan was coordinated among the 4 towns. I mean, that was the whole reason for doing a watershed permit. But what wasn't coordinated was the timing in the areas.
Right.
And I think it's just very interesting that all the towns are sort of starting with new and different areas, but the net result should be really phenomenal, and on a faster timeline than what the townspeople had perhaps expected.
Great story,
So
really is.
it really is, yeah. And it's also good to see that Orleans isn't alone in this effort.
Right. I think also we should be reminded frequently that phase 4 includes a piece of Meeting House Pond and finishes
Right, that
the removal.
extension areas.
Yes,
Right.
which has been delayed
Yeah, right.
twice.
Well,
I have another comment on this, and that is that I sort of wish we'd made more progress on this earlier in the January public meeting. One of the comments that didn't get made, maybe got lost in the good discussion that occurred, is that if you look at phase 1, substantial amount of benefit to non-Pleasant Bay watersheds. The phase 1 for Nauset represented, took care of about 40% of our best current estimate of the goal for the Nauset system. So it's not like the town is just focused on Pleasant Bay. Because of the location of the treatment plant and the downtown sewers, you made a big bite out of those other 2 major watersheds.
Well, and I just, again, we're fortunate to have our Housing Coordinator, Assistant Planner Elizabeth Jenkins, but if we had not done that first phase, we wouldn't be talking and voting an overlay district, which we did. So the connection of all this is just, we keep saying infrastructure helps the environment, but it's helping our economy, and, it's, it's pretty remarkable. So lots to be thankful for, and Mike, your analysis is really nice. I was thinking all the way back to one of our first graphics that John Smith did with the little bars showing the goal and getting at them in the areas. That's pretty much what you've done here, and just one slide without the map, as John had done. So many opportunities to use and share this. But Mike is suggesting that we work on a narrative. I think timing is okay if we wait for George to come back, Mike?
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure.
But it'd be good for us to maybe vote on that so that there's a little, just like,
Reinforcement.
Right, reinforcement. And we recommend that the town issue that as an update to DEP. I mean,
Excellent.
while we're talking DEP, only because a number of us had a chance to watch, and Tim, you put the timeline and milestones of different things that happened to allow the commissioning and order to connect letter to go out. But I have to say, DEP was so responsive on the day of the Clearwater test. I mean, the guy didn't even have a clipboard. He just knew every step in his head. I need to see this. I need you to do that. I need you to kill the, street power. So I see the generator. I mean, he was just like, he went through it back here in less than an hour. And it was just, they were really, great to work with. And, we got the approval from them. And as Tim showed, all the other boxes. So we've got to keep that good relationship going. And I think, Mike, as you suggested, this update for them will be appreciated. The other thing we need to make sure we CC is Tim Passakarnis at the Cape Cod Commission. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
So will we get a copy of this particular slide?
Yeah, Mike, you can share this as it is, right?
Yeah, sure. I quickly this morning tried to get it around to everybody, but failed. George has a copy.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when he returns, he can circulate.
Yeah, we'll get
Thank you, Mike.
Apologies for not having new hands.
Good. All right. Anything else before we get to minutes? And I saw on the desk we had a little edit that Karen picked up, so.
Do you want to vote on that, or what did you want? I mean, a reinforcement endorsement or something? What you were sort of.
Let's wait till we see it come back.
Okay.
That way George has it. No doubt George will draft a narrative.
Fine.
And we'll see it in a future
On our
meeting.
package.
So maybe a motion on the amended March 12th minutes?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any other edits or corrections?
Just admiring the way Karen has
Aaron's good.
doing this, yes.
All right.
Very
On that
very
note,
helpful.
all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Any future agenda topics?
What's the timing and looking ahead to,
Mhm.
so we actually have
Ninth.
2 meetings before town meeting,
Right.
so we're able to keep an eye on
Yep.
things.
I think where Lynn's going is town meeting outreach. We'll put that as an
Oh, that's good.
item
I like that.
for our
And
April
and
9th.
listening to what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, throughout.
As a bullet under that, could we put fertilizer handout?
Got it?
Because the letters will have gone out.
Mhm.
There might be some conversation, and then still a town meeting specifically related, and so on.
Good.
Any, feedback from letters.
Right.
See if anybody has
Yep.
any.
That's my point, yeah.
So John, that's kind of a future agenda. Any feedback you're getting, plus, minus, literally anything we can do, to be of help. So,
I mean, I remember the last two, we ended up having an open meeting,
mhm.
a public meeting afterwards, just to help everybody understand what was
Right.
required of them.
Yep.
It might be necessary yet again.
Good
But,
point.
What did I hear in the street, and maybe John can help us, that how many people are actually stacked up and ready to go as soon as they get the letter? I mean, it's
Approved
like
plans?
50 or more with plans.
You have close to 100 approved plans in already?
I was in,
I'm
I
looking
was-
at Bob
I was,
like,
I was in one of the engineer's offices the other day for another project, and she had an enormous, shelf full of all the plans that were ready to go. She was just waiting for the.
Wow.
So
So-
that this is just.
It's awesome. It's
outstanding.
great.
I wish I could say the same. Okay, well, we're still doing storm cleanup.
Yeah, well.
We
there's
can't
lot
put in a
going
pipe
on.
until we get rid of some trees. All right, you guys,
Pretty excited at
they
that
are,
news.
yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Mr. Chair, I just have one thing, which is just a rumor going around, which I read about on social media, that people were getting notices that they had to immediately do something in their sewer, like in 30 days. And so I just think we need to, obviously, there's misinformation going on. So I was trying to get to the bottom of it, of exactly what somebody received. But two people said, no, I got something that says I have to connect in 30 days, and deleted it. And I said, fine. But just so,
Yeah,
in
right.
case, John, you get,
yeah.
yeah, it's just, yeah, I can show you what it is. It's really
Because
very.
nothing's gone out yet.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, there's obviously, I was trying to get more information so that I could say this is what somebody received. But if it's already showing up online,
Actually,
Sounds like a scam.
oh, yeah, absolutely. But if
Yeah.
it's already showing up online, we should just be, know that-
Proactively
it's
tell
false.
people that's what it
Yep.
is.
The
Okay.
Board of Water and Sewer Commission, however, did send out a preliminary letter
Right.
in January explaining
what's coming?
what's
and,
coming. It
list
didn't
of-
specify the time frame, but it certainly didn't say 30 days.
No,
I don't think we've set out anything that's
yeah, well,
30 days connection.
yeah.
Just so that we're all aware, it may show up again.
Yeah, John is absolutely right. And if anyone reports a Facebook post, I go right to the author and I actually look at their site and see where they're from, how many posts they have, how many connections they have. And you're right, most of them are bots. They're generated to just cause misinformation. And
Absolutely.
it's the world we live in, which is sad, very sad. Last item?
Move adjournment?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.